Okay, good morning, everyone. I think it's me, Fran Lewis, the Queen of Restream. And Richard Belsky is here, and his book is called The Vanishers. And if you don't watch out, you're going to be disappearing too. Trust me. This is based on an Agatha Christie book, right? Where everybody sort of disappears. But when you enter the,
No, no, no.
this is so
I had
close.
never even thought of that comparison, Fran. I'm
This
sorry.
is
You're
so
thinking
close.
about, and then there were none, or whatever it is. The
Yeah.
Agatha Christie. No, no. This
So
is
when
more of a paranormal book.
I can't believe that these people come into this mansion. What was your impetus for creating this novel and the primary plot? And I read the first scene and I got the shakes right away.
I'm sorry. What, Fran?
Okay, I read that the first scene, the first chapter gave me the shakes right away. I knew something was going to happen, and the minute he entered the house, I go like, "Oh my God, how did you create this?" I mean, I was petrified to start with. I was petrified to finish the book.
Well, it's a long, complicated story, which is sort of interesting as a writer. I actually wrote this book many, many, many years ago, originally. Back probably in the 80s when I was reading a lot of Stephen King, and I thought, well, I'll try and write like a Stephen King kind of supernatural book. And I wrote it, and I had an agent at the time who was a mystery agent. And she was like, "Why are you writing this? Why don't you write a mystery?" And so I put it away and didn't think about it for many years. And then I dug it out again, and I liked it, and so I did some rewriting on it. So the actual the actual inspiration for this took place a long time ago. But I just I always love things like the Twilight Zone and the X Files, and things that don't make any sense. And so I just came up with this idea, which is, what if I had a house where people went into it, but they don't always come out and they kind of disappear. And the twist in this, of course, is they don't just disappear, but everything about them disappears. There's no evidence that they ever existed anymore. And the only person that really sees all this is my character, Megan Foley, and so everybody thinks she's crazy.
This is so scary. I mean, I'm reading the first chapter over again, and it's like, oh my God. But then you go back 1 year to Megan and Patrick.
Right.
So
So the book
why would
starts.
people want to do this? Why did they enter this mansion and not really? They just because it was beautiful.
They what?
How come they decided to enter this mansion and for rent, and they knew nothing about it? But when you go in there, I mean, anybody would want to be there.
Yeah, well, it's like a lure. I compare it almost at some point to like a cockroach kind of thing. Like they're lured into the trap and then they don't get out. I don't I
Yeah.
don't want to explain the motive as to what's happening, but whoever is running this house has created this house that's a beautiful house. It's very inexpensive, and there's a number of people staying there, but it's a big house, and it seems like the perfect vacation spot, and it lures people in, and the first chapter opens with
Yeah.
Megan. You see, she's been through a devastating time, and then we do a flashback to a year earlier. We see how she got there.
Yeah, but nobody realized anything. They just, I mean, bills, everything's made for them. I mean, they
Right.
didn't get suspicious, nothing. And they drove
It's
us
a
to how it's scary.
I guess the lesson there is, if it seems too good to be
Yeah.
true, it probably is too good to be true. So yeah, it's just it's to lure these people in, and and then and there's a lot of unanswered questions in the book, like for instance the
Yeah.
question of like why why Megan is not, so all these people disappear and everybody else in the house doesn't even remember they were there anymore, but Megan does, and
Yeah.
the question is why she does and the others don't. And the best explanation of that I think I could give you is when I read the Stand by Stephen King many years ago. everybody is affected by this plague except the one character, and sometimes they're just people who for some reason aren't affected by it, and so which you have to, if she was affected by it, there'd be no story. But so we have Megan telling the story throughout the book through her eyes, and she's the only person that understands what's going on. But of course, everybody thinks she's crazy.
Megan wanted to just come for vacation, and then Patrick goes and plays Monopoly with these people because Mrs. Monahan sort of like dominated what she wanted them to do, which is even more scary. And I got the feeling that, Megan was being gaslighted after a while. So how did she, what she woke up one night and she just felt kind of like weird. How come? I love
Well,
Megan.
that's just part of it. As the book goes along, you'll see there's just there's an eerie alien kind of thing going on in the house, and it affects it just affects everybody in the house. And this house that seems so perfect, it just I'm just basically with that where she wakes up after having sex with her husband and she feels weird. It's like something creepy happened. I'm basically just trying to
That's
create
the
this
one
this
question.
mood of unease, in the house that something is wrong.
This is I don't believe I did this. I have the wrong question in front of me. It's just that then all of a sudden she tells him that she sees Tommy, and Tommy loses a Nintendo, and I go like, wait a minute, who's Tommy?
Yeah.
And she sees things, yeah.
Well, that's the beginning of the problems. Uh, some point around I think chapter 4 or 5. There's two kids in the house, and
Yeah.
suddenly there's only one kid, and she's like, "What happened to the other kid?" And everybody's like, "What are you talking? There's only one child." And that's when she starts thinking, she doesn't understand what's going on or why or how. And
This is
she's a my character is a prosecutor. She works for the Manhattan DA's office, so she deals with facts and evidence. So she immediately starts trying to investigate because she thinks, well, there's got to be a logical reason for this, but of course there isn't, which frustrates her even more.
this is scary. So how would you describe the house? Tell us, imagine we decided to join the summer there. Who is Mrs. Megan? And from the start, there's something very odd about her, isn't she? And then Megan begins to see people that don't exist, which is really cool. So how did you decide on that? That was really like, yeah, okay,
She
you
she
walk
she sees
on.
people she sees people who don't exist. Who
Then
refer
she tells us about Tommy and Amy. And Amy was real. She spoke to
No,
her.
these people existed. They just, they
Yeah.
just disappeared, and then one by one, people seem to be disappearing, and there's a lot of other stuff in the house. There's a giant TV projection screen that everybody seems obsessed with watching, and you begin to realize that this is doing something to these people's minds. It's affecting them, and everybody is watching the TV. So there's a lot of crazy stuff going on inside this house.
This is really crazy. Oh, now I have the right questions in front of me. That's better. I don't know why I printed out the wrong ones before. Here we go. Now, the purpose of the book is just practically scare everybody, which it does. And you get a Megan Foley begins to see people. Why does her husband and other people think that she's crazy?
Yeah.
I mean, seriously, they look like Megan, you're out of your mind. What the heck is the matter with you? But she's not crazy. But then they think she's crazy.
Yeah, it's like again, it's like sort of inspired by a lot of old science fiction stuff, like Invasion of the
Yeah.
Body Snatchers, if you've ever remembered that old movie, where nobody believes somebody when they're telling them something is going on, it's wrong. Everybody thinks the person's crazy. and they have to try and convince people. Now, in this book, Megan is able to
Yeah,
convince a couple people that, who friends of hers to help her because they trust her and they believe her, even though they think it's crazy too, but they trust her. So, as the book goes on, she has a
yeah.
best friend and she has another person, and then she finds a guy who's involved in paranormal stuff who believes her too. So she begins to get a couple people around to help her, which obviously is good for the story.
It gets really interesting. And I was telling somebody about this. Actually, my pharmacist wants this. I had to go buy him a copy. For real. Anytime I do whatever, and I go to pick up something from CVS, they want to know what I'm reading, and I'm not allowed to come to pick up anything unless I have a stack of books.
Yeah.
For real, it's hilarious. And then when I go to the dermatologist later, I have a stack of books for them too. I have to bring books wherever I go, otherwise I can't come. Now, tell us about Megan's job and her friend Jackie. And the next question really is scary.
Well, yeah, Megan works for the Manhattan
Mm,
District Attorney's
yeah,
office, and she's a very logical, sane, professional person, which I think is important because you don't want her to be an airhead or anything, and so when this happens, it's very upsetting to her because she just looks at everything logically. And Jackie is a
yeah,
friend of hers in the district attorney's office, and so she turns to Jackie for help and support. And at first, Jackie doesn't really believe her, but she wants to help her. And uh, again, I need to have people supporting Megan. I can't have her just doing this on her own. And the relationship between Jackie and Megan is kind of crucial throughout the book.
yeah.
One of the reviews of the book said actually we should all have a best friend like Jackie. So
Yep.
and she's the main character through the book too.
I don't know how you did it. It scared the heck out of me. I was afraid to turn the page after a while. Now, Megan sees people and people disappear and Patrick disappears and they said that he never existed in her life and she was never really married to him and I go like, okay, is she crazy?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
I don't want to give away too
don't give
much
it
of the
away.
plot, but like you say, it's like when these people disappear, all traces and evidence of them disappear. So like their family doesn't remember them, their
Yeah,
job doesn't know who they are, things that they did have disappeared. If they signed something, it's gone. Uh, now again, the question is, well, how does this all happen? And some of this is explained and some of it is unexplained. I also I spend a lot of time in the book suggesting that this is not like a one-time event. I talk about people disappearing through history, and one of the fun things about doing this book was I was able to do a lot of research into you know uh, uh, stories from the past and going back, like missing, ships that turn up missing and planes and the Bermuda Triangle that go missing, and suggesting that for a number of years somebody has been abducting people and making them disappear, but that this is another step because not only they're making people disappear, but they're making any memory of these people disappear too. So there's a lot of
yeah.
history about like UFOs and like I said, the Bermuda Triangle, and there's some fascinating stories of people who literally just seem to disappear in thin air in front of people, and I used all that to kind of build the character and to build the story in this book too.
Yeah, but first she goes back to the house and she says to Patrick, you got to leave. He doesn't want to leave. He thinks that she's crazy. And then she calls the house, and then there's no record that he was ever there. So Megan goes back. She leaves, right? She leaves the house because she knows there's something wrong. She goes to New York, meets Jackie, who tells her she was never married. Now, how does she feel about that? I mean, all her life she thought she was married to Patrick, and it gets more scary as it goes on, because I started to get nervous turning the pages again.
Yeah, well, those are the questions that I
Yeah,
raise, and I just try and it's because this isn't a and Fran, that I've always written traditional
yeah,
mysteries, and they're all based on things that are real, and this book
yeah.
I can make stuff up, and I make a lot of stuff up, so it's I sort of create situations without necessarily explaining how and why they came about, but it's again I would compare it to something like The Twilight Zone or X Files or something like that. And if, for anybody that likes those kind of shows, I would think maybe you would find this book interesting because it's that kind of supernatural, unanswered questions like this can't be happening, but it is.
It's your fault that I wrote When Lies Win, my last book that came out last week. People that tell a lie, they have to deal with an imaginary mirror. And the imaginary mirror will decide what happens to you. But the first time ever, my publisher put the face of the mirror at the end of each chapter so you see who's going to destroy you. It's so good. I was so impressed. It's
Yeah,
as
it's
scary.
fun. It's fun to write things like that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I had to do something different. Now, Mrs. Monahan from the beginning gave me the EBGBs. Anybody that walks in is too nice is dangerous.
Yes.
Yeah, and then Megan knows she's dangerous, but how does she deal? How does what happened to the people relate to what happened in the house? And this lady, I don't think she's ever going to get well. We'll see what happens at the end, but the ending got me like, holy God. Well, I'm not going to say what that is because every time I open to the last page, I go, I hope she doesn't get me next. Mrs. Monaghan is crazy. So how does the house? What does it seem to envelope and cast a spell on these people? People just want to stay there. They don't even go outside ever. They don't even take a walk.
No, they basically are watching the television,
Yeah.
and again, the
No.
television plays a big part in this book. Because it's clearly not just a normal
Yeah.
television, some kind of hypnotic thing that's affecting these people's minds. And then the other thing that's going on in the house is there's no Mr. Monahan that we see.
Yeah.
He supposedly is in the attic because he's not well, but we never see him. And there's a scene early on where Megan tries to go up in the attic to see him or say hello to him, and Mrs. Monahan gets hysterical, like, you can't go up there, you can't go up there. So there's clearly something going on up in the attic, which we find out later in the book too. So it's like, because of the cover of this book, it
This
looks
is
like kind of like it's a haunted house book. It's like about a haunted house, but it's not really a haunted house. It's just a supernatural house. Um, and it may not even really be a house, as you find out as the book goes on.
I have to ask this question because it's driving me. How did you create the title for each chapter? That scared. I sort of had a feeling I knew what was happening in the chapter just by the title, and it's like
Yeah, yeah.
I'm not
I
going to
did.
read them because then it'll give it away.
Yeah, I did something I don't normally do in my books, which is I gave a title to each chapter. Normally, I'll do chapter, 1, 2, 3, 4. But every chapter in this book has a title. Like
Yeah,
Megan goes crazy, or Jackie comes to the rescue, or things like that. I don't know. It's just when you're writing a book, sometimes you just feel that's the way to do it. I mean, it's not something I plan out or anything, but it just seemed like kind of a thing to do. So it's
those titles really got me. Now she has Jackie, and then who is Sam? And how does he put a new perspective on this? How does she meet Sam? I like Sam. I think.
how does Sam what?
Yeah, who is Sam? I like Sam.
Sam is a professor of paranormal studies at Columbia University. And Jackie, her friend, says, maybe you should talk to this guy. And she does, and he believes her. And he starts working with her to try and deal with the things going on in the house. And
It's
there also becomes a romantic interest. So uh, there's a thing that starts going on romantically between the two. So he becomes a big player in this, Sam Devane. But they're trying to, they're trying to solve the mystery of the house, but they're also falling in love as they go.
this is so scary for real. Now, what does chapter 29 mean? Ready or not, here I come.
Well,
Yeah, that's
that's
scary
when
too.
Megan. So the book takes place in two time periods. It
Yeah,
begins in the beginning where she's looking for the house again,
yeah.
and then we go back to the whole thing of where all these people disappeared, and then at the end of that, she decides to she keeps trying to look for answers. So she spends a year looking for the house, and then she finds the house again in a different part of the country, and the house is literally moved. And she she basically is determined that she's going to get the answers, and she's going to come after Mrs. Ryan and these people. So that's what it means. Ready or not, here I come. She's basically saying that to the people running the house, which is in her view is Mrs. Ryan. But we don't think that Mrs. Ryan is really Mrs. Ryan. We think that may just be um, an image or illusion that has been created. Because Mrs. Ryan is this supposedly kindly old Irish woman, but she clearly is not.
This is scary. Now, who is Danny? I felt bad for him. And what does Megan tell him?
Who is that?
Danny.
Danny?
Yeah.
Which one is
Yeah,
Daniel?
Megan talks to him, doesn't she, Daniel?
I'm not sure if that's the right name. There's a guy Kaplan. Is that what we're talking about?
Yeah.
She
No,
has a. Are
let's,
you talking about the genius, the kid that's a genius? Is that?
yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Um, I'm trying to remember what I called him in the first name.
Oh,
His
there's
last name
another
is
character
Kaplan.
that we have to talk about that I don't like is Mitch Kaplan.
Mitch Kaplan. Yeah, Mitch.
Yeah,
I thought you
that's the
said
one. Yeah,
Daniel.
Mitch
Yeah, it's
Kaplan.
Mitch
Yeah.
Kaplan. Yeah, yeah. So he is a kind of a genius, but he's a kind of weird tech genius, and he had gotten arrested for doing something, for hacking into something, and Megan had prosecuted him, but had given him a break and helped him get to college and all this stuff. So he's very grateful to Megan, and so the only way she knows how to fight these people,
There it
these
is.
criminals running the house, is through some kind of scientific means. And so she goes to him, and he comes up with this method. He basically builds a machine that's going to battle the house, kind of thing. It gets kind of pretty technical, hairy, but uh, it's this idea that if you can build a machine that can produce enough electromagnetic energy
This is scary.
that'll screw up the vibes of the house, that you could destroy the house. And so he and Jackie and Megan, they all team up to do this in the as the book, toward the end of the book. This is all, once the book is well into.
Well, I'm not going to ask what chapter 33 means because then it'll give something away. Who is Aunt Tierney? And she's supposedly, in some kind of home or some sanitarium. But how does it turn out that she's really not crazy?
Who is that?
Aunt Tierney. Chapter
Yeah,
30, yeah. I mean, they think
right.
she's crazy,
So
but I
so
know
what
she wasn't
happens is
crazy.
what happens is Sam, when Sam hears Megan's story, he
Yeah.
remembers that he got a letter from a woman named Anne, who had told him a similar story about her family had disappeared, and no one believed she had a family except her. So he decides to go visit Anne with Megan, and she's in a sanitarium because everybody thinks she's crazy. And Sam and Megan are the only people that believe her. But you know, again, it's evidence that this isn't a one-time thing, but this has happened a number of times. So obviously, Megan befriends Anne because you know she's in the same boat that Megan is. But it also very upsets Megan because she sees that Anne has been committed to a sanitarium like she's insane, and Megan is worried that people are going to think she's insane and try and have her committed to it something.
This is scary. Everyone disappears, right? If you can save
Well,
the
not
lives of
everybody, but a lot of people, yeah.
everybody disappears. It's like it's so cool. There are times in the story I'd like to make a few more people disappear. A couple of people in real life I'd like to make disappear too. The chapter that says you don't want to know is very powerful. That's probably the most powerful chapter in the book. And can somebody actually take a house and make it fall down?
Well, that's the advantage of writing a supernatural book. You can just
Yeah,
make that stuff up. You know, it's not a
but
lot in this book. Not a lot in this book is stuff that
yeah,
could happen in real life. You know,
of course it can. There's a lot of people in this world that try to blindside you or make you think something that doesn't really happen.
right?
I know that. I know that. Oh, you really don't need that or something, or you really should look this way. I mean, I was always overweight. I weigh 93 pounds. I don't have to worry about that. And I had a friend that told me that I look like an elephant. And you have to understand that people will tell you anything if you want to believe them. That's really dumb. That's even scarier, to tell you the truth. Now, why does Megan at the end, why does she go back to the house when she knows very well she has to be really careful? Why does she bother to go back?
Well, there's a couple of reasons. I mean, number one, because her husband is there, and she wants to save her husband, and you know, and she wants answers. Because even after these people disappear, see, she
Yeah,
doesn't
I
know they're
know.
dead. She doesn't know they're dead. We don't know they're dead. We just don't know. We just know they're not there. So when she's just looking for answers. Um, you know, I mean, she has to know what happened and why and where these people went.
Now, the chapter I really like is 42, The War of the Worlds. And then, of course, I'm not going to say what the last chapter is because I get a feeling that this isn't over yet. Is there a sequel coming to this? I have to ask.
What's that?
Are you going to write a sequel to this one?
Oh, I don't
I
really
can
have
think
a
of a
plan.
lot
I
of
don't have a
reasons why
plan
you
to do.
should.
I don't have a plan to do that at the moment. It would be difficult, I think, because you know there's so much happens in this book. You would just be repeating a lot of the stuff, you know. So
How did Megan feel at the end of it? I mean, it's not a it's a odd ending because you really don't know what's happening. And then if you look at the word it says breaking news, it's like okay, not going to say what that says. And then you have the last one, aftermath, and of course you have my favorite chapter, the end. What is it? The end. Serious. And the epilogue is that's really scary. That's
yeah,
why
I think
that's why I
it
said
like
it
I
the other
say,
night that these
it's
people don't even know. They just see the beauty of the house and they don't know what's in. So the people at the end, that last chapter, oh my God. That's why I said
yeah
if there is a sequel, you could probably destroy more people now.
yeah. This is a book that
Yeah.
I mean, it's not like a murder mystery where you solve the murder at the end and then everybody goes to jail or whatever, and everything is very clean. There's no clean ending to this. There's always going to be unanswered questions going on here.
It's scary. Now before I forget, okay, people. I only doing one in July, and that's because Charles Salzberg is had a double hip operation or whatever. And I promise, I read the book yesterday, the beginning of everything. Oh God, is that scary? I read that yesterday because I had to give him the questions. I just hope that my email got to him. But we're going to start.
You're talking about Charles Salzberg's book, Beginning of
Yeah,
Everything.
yeah.
Yeah,
He,
I just read that. Yeah.
yeah. Now, in August, we're going to start with Tess Gerritsen, Shadow Friends. On the 18th, Joe Gifford, Skeletal Theory. It's about the Mandela effect. On the 24th, the number one interior decorator in the world, Howard Wiggins. I don't know what he wants to talk about. I don't care. It's fun. On the 26th, Joe Plickett comes back with Sky Fly and Die about women in history. And on the 27th, if she shows up, Tiffany Warren in Harlem. And I am so excited. September 29th, I'm going to interview the producer of the Late Night with Stephen Colbert.
Wow.
I have no idea. So, what's next for you? And what are you writing that I'm going to want to read right away? And
Well,
which
I have a
character?
book.
Which what are you bringing back next time? What character? So I'm
I have
ready.
a I have a I have a book coming out in hopefully in August. It's scheduled for publication. It's called The Mogul, and The Mogul is another standalone book. And this is kind of a little bit ripped from my real life because, as you know, Fran, I'm a longtime journalist. I work for the New York Post, New York Daily News, and a lot of big papers. And The Mogul is about a kind of media baron whose life becomes unraveled and his empire begins to fall uh, based on a big sensational murder case. And I tell the story through the eyes of a journalist who's kind of like me. And it's a little bit like this is going to sound egotistical, but when I tried to write it, I tried to write a little bit like Citizen Kane, the movie, you know, like a newspaper publisher who starts off as a man who tries to do all these wonderful things, but then falls into corruption and scandal, and his whole life and empire falls apart.
Which
So
one?
that's coming out
I didn't
from,
get the last Claire Carlson one, and I didn't get something else, the Dana Perry one either.
yeah, and
I don't have those.
that's the next book. I'm
Oh,
just
good.
finishing up another Claire Carlson book, and that is supposed to go to the publisher in August, and that would come out in early 2027.
Well, for those of you that when I did the book is my book is at the bottom of the pile over there. It's like really small. My book is 78 pages, and it's when I could find it on Amazon, which is probably easier than whatever. I am very proud of it because it's doing very well for some reason. I've sold over 200 copies in the last 2 weeks. I don't know why. That's it.
Okay, there
That
you go.
that did the cover. Yeah, she really did a great job. Short stories that will send chills down your spine by Fran Lewis, and it's doing very well. It's pretty high up in psychological, and for some reason, people are buying it. And I've sent some. Like my pharmacist has 10, and I went to the bank yesterday, and they all took one. They said I couldn't deposit anything unless I gave them a book. But that made me feel good. So I've sold quite a few, but it depends. I didn't ask for, I don't even want reviews. So if anybody out there's read the book and wants to give me a comment or want to read the book, I will put your comment on my website and put your information. I don't want reviews because I don't like reviews
Why don't you want reviews?
because I've been finding that people on Amazon are nasty and they don't understand it. So the last book I had, somebody wrote something really nasty. I said, I don't like that at all. And then on Goodreads, if you post a review on Goodreads, for some reason, some stupid person will say, why did you write that? It's too long. I said, it's none of your business. The only person I have to impress is the publicist and the author. I don't care what you think. So, they're nasty. So I posted your reviews on LinkedIn. I got quite a number of views in 5 minutes. When this is done, I will send you the video from you. This is on YouTube. This is on YouTube, LinkedIn, FaceTime, X, and Blue Sky. It's everywhere.